Live from Thohoyandou in the Limpopo province, of course, where the commemoration of Armed Forces Day 2026 is taking place. The Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Cyril Ramaphosa, will be addressing us a little bit later on this morning. But before that, he will be laying a wreath, of course, commemorating those members of the South African Native Labour Corps that perished in the 1917 sinking of the SS Mendi. That commemoration taking place, you'd recall, in a province that was hardest hit. You'd recall the 14 soldiers that perished in the Democratic Republic of Congo during a peacekeeping mission. You would recall that I did indicate previously that South Africa has been involved in a number of peacekeeping missions on the continent, including countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo, as well as the Burundi as well, just to mention some of those countries. So right here behind me, you can see members of the community have come out in their numbers, some of them coming out as early as 4 o'clock this morning. There'd actually been a spectacular display of what, the South African National Defence Force is about throughout the course of this week. So they've really come out in their numbers to come and be part of today's commemoration. And it's taking place in a province, as I indicated, which is hardest hit, contributing towards peacekeeping operations for the SANDF. Let me bring in now the Premier of the province, Dr. Ramathuba. Dr. Ramathuba, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We do appreciate your time. I think let me start there. It's quite poignant that we commemorate Armed Forces Day 2026 in a province when we had our 14 soldiers perish in the Democratic Republic of Congo during that peacekeeping mission. Most of those soldiers were from this province. I think this is a moment to reflect on in terms of the contribution.
Yes, indeed, you're quite right, because out of that 14, 8 of them, which is more than 50% of those that were perished, were the sons of the soil. Even in this area, Thulamela municipality, where we did lay to rest one of them. So it is quite critical and important that the leadership of the South African National Defence Force felt it's important for us to come and commemorate, and the Chief Commander-in-Chief himself, President Ramaphosa, would be laying the wreath. And we really don't take this light as a province. We appreciate that acknowledgement, and it also uplift our soul. We know it won't bring them back, but the recognition itself, it's something that will go a long way to say our national pride, which is our South African National Defence Force, beginning to also connect with the people, connecting with the people in the very amazing way. I can tell you that throughout the week, we have seen more than 51,000 just in the health sector alone being touched by their presence. Cataracts, just in Elim Hospital, 171 cataracts being operated. In Letaba Hospital, more than 30 orthopedics cases. People who have been involved in accidents in the past 2 or 3 weeks have been able to be cleared to be operated. We are back orthopedic surgical backlog free since their intervention, as they try to connect with our people.
Just very quickly, Premier, we're running out of time. I mean, they were also quite instrumental. You spoke about the services that they provided. This was in the aftermath of the floods in this particular province. And I mean, how far are you in terms of recovery of, the family's infrastructure that was destroyed in those floods?
Firstly, we must really appreciate to say, even though we have lost 27 lives, there could have been disastrous, because they came in at the right time, wherein we were trying to rescue those who were being flooded, and we managed to save thousands of lives, those individuals who have been displaced from their homes. But most importantly, critically, is that the bridges, the low lying bridges that have been swept away, they've been able to visit, and our recovery, our rebuilding of the province, it's going to involve them. The Welisizwe Bridge that they built as the army, which is very resistant to climate change, which is able to respond when we have during the situation of flooding like we just had. So we'll be working with them. Now, what we have done as a province is to reprioritize scrutinize our budget. We've then put aside 800 million from our provincial budget that is working on dealing with all those, especially the main focus being on the roads and the bridges, which the infrastructure that has been damaged. Working with the Minister of Human Settlement, you have seen her, we are rebuilding those homes that the President spoke about. We're just waiting for the Traditional Council to work with our municipalities to give us the land that is safe, because some of the areas which were flooded, it's because it's the low-lying areas, which some of them are the wetlands. We need to work with engineers so that we know which area can be designated as a human settlement area. Not every area it's a human settlement area.
100%. Thank you very much indeed. The Premier of Limpopo, Ramathuba, Dr. Poppy Ramathuba, speaking to us, of course, just before we have the start of proceedings here this morning, expecting the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Cyril Ramaphosa, to, I think, in about an hour's time, if I may. That is the time that had been set. That's where that wreath-laying ceremony will take place to commemorate, of course, those, who perished back in 1917 with the sinking of the SS Many. That's what today is about. And right here behind me, just very quickly, I know I've run out of time. I know my colleagues in studio, Eugene, is going to really wrap me around the knuckles, but the community certainly has come out in their numbers here. We've spoken to them a little bit earlier on. We'll try to engage with them in our next crossing as well.